Welcome, everyone. Tonight we will be having an interview with Q from season 2 of Online Survival. I guess I will start, like always, with this interview, and I like to ask about the original team of Team Rona and see if anything has changed from playing to watching it. We'll go ahead and start with Carrie with a K, since she was your ally.
The only thing that's really changed with Carrie K is I didn't realize how messy she was. She is messy. Oh my goodness. And it kind of, I guess it softens her getting voted out just a little bit because she really was stirring up a lot of justifiable shit, I guess, So I kind of understand now why Dee felt the way that she felt about Carrie, even if it didn't make the clips. And Patty to an extent, I guess. So, but Carrie's my girl. She was she was my day one, so.
What about Carrie with a C?
So the thing is about Carrie C, I'm glad it didn't make the final edits, was that I fucking was not a Carrie C fan. I was convinced that she was snake in the grass, she was sneaky as hell, and I was dragging her in my confessionals. So I'm really glad that I'm so glad it didn't make the final edits because she was so nice and she was like really harmless, honestly. So yeah. And she vouched for me, when Patty was saying that he wanted to eliminate me. So I actually felt really bad about that.
What about Dee Dee?
Nothing really changed too much about Dee. I think that I mistook her for being a lot more, I guess, cunning and conniving than she actually is, just because she said that she did great in her last game and we found out that she won her last game. So I was like, okay, this chick's someone to look out for. But she's just a nice person.
Lastly, Patty.
Patty was wild in person and even wilder now watching it back. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be very true. I guess my last question before I turn it over to everybody, the obvious question is, what was it about Meg and Jake that you felt in that first challenge that made you suspect them to be like a power duo, which they were?
I think I've always had a knack for reading people and reading situations. And I know it's crazy, like on the internet, you're like, okay, how can you get a read for it? But I don't know. My spidey senses was just tingling with those two. I just felt that that was a power duo in the mix. Meg, she made a comment, something like, we only need 45 seconds to get the answer right. And I was like, okay, she's somebody to look out for. And then I think it just kept revealing itself. And then what really was just the final straw was when Rayleigh got sent to exile. That's when all hell broke loose and my obsession, if you will call it, kicked in. So
I'm going to turn it over to anybody else who has questions about pre-merge questions first, please. Anybody?
Okay. I guess I want to first off applaud you in the game that you have been playing. I salute you. I respect it. I'm just curious as to, up until the merge point, have you not even thought about using your advantage, or, like, had it not crossed your mind at all?
It never crossed my mind, but not because I felt like I was safe. If that makes sense. I know that probably sounds weird. Like, I never felt like I was in control of the game. Like, I was always paranoid that it was going to be me. And I think that's just natural. But I think that I was always able to look at what has happened logically and be like, well, they have no reason to target me. So that's why I never thought to use my idol. And I'm glad I didn't, because apparently later. So
I mean, I'll piggyback on Aspen's comment. I'll say, generally speaking, you seem to be a player that people that, like, I talk to who watch the show, they either really like or really don't. And I think it comes down to who they want to win in the game. But I think people generally like your chaotic style. Was that something coming into the game that you knew you were coming with was like that like you wanted to thrive in chaos? Was that like a pre-game strategy sort of thing?
No, but I think I do thrive in chaos. I think even in my real life, I'll bring out chaos Q in a fucking second if I need to. So no, going into it, and I don't want to, preemptively answer this, but like I did not mean to shake shit up like I did. It just so happened that that's the way the circumstances fell, and I do thrive in chaos. So I'll say that.
Was the chaos and shaking things up a response to losing Carrie as an ally? Like, is that where the shift kind of occurred? Like losing someone that important to you in a game, like you're kind of all alone now. And again, thriving in chaos, that's a good way to go about it when you're alone. So is that when the switch kind of came?
I think that it was a number of things. And Nick, I guess, like, can we segue into the merge?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I think it was a number of things. Like, I never wanted to make my relationship with Carrie K define my game. So her leaving, I refused to let it like be some huge blow to me. But I think that was a part of it. And I also think I was just in a shitty mood that day, like in my real actual life. And then I lost the fucking challenge to Patty of all people. And like the questions that he got, it was like, name Usher's number one. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I know, I was just so upset. So like I was pissed that I lost the challenge. And then what really set me off was when fucking Dot was in that chat being fake. Like, Alex, you're the Wonder Kid. And I'm like, well, you didn't have Broski's back. What the fuck was up with that? And I think like the fakery it set something off in me. So I think that it was a logical move based off of emotion and just being irate in that fucking moment. So
Can I hit on that challenge part since you brought that up? You mentioned Patty having the Usher thing, which I wouldn't have got that, by the way. But a lot of the questions in the first round for you were chemistry related, which kind of deals with.
I'm a chemist.
Right. So I want to know, like, how would you have fared in that first part if they weren't chemistry related, and what would have been your go-to category in that case?
I think the categories were like wrestling, soap operas. I think I probably could have done history and been okay, although saying the answers back, I would have gotten them wrong. So I don't know, but go ahead.
Do you think you would have done as good in that first part if they weren't all chemistry related?
If they were science questions in general, yes, I probably still, I don't know, because Nick had that question about like, that's a statistics question. How many population have read whatever blood type? That's statistics, thank you. But I probably still would have done well in science, yeah.
Regarding that challenge and the second part of it, you were ahead in the numbers. Was there a reason why you went for the higher scores rather than the lower scores?
I don't know.
Or just trying to win fast?
I wanted to win fast, yeah. I was trying to play hard and wasn't for me, I guess, Yeah.
Those were hard questions, though.
Yeah.
They were really hard. I've done good at pro wrestling, but they were really hard. Like, they were really hard. I think most people were kind of crapshoot guessing a lot of them. I think you.
Well, that first group did pretty good, actually, I thought. The second group, not so much.
I knew the Brock Lesnar question. That was like the only one that I knew.
You didn't know CM Punk's real name?
No.
I did, because the other one was X-Pac. And, I knew it anyway.
I should have known CM Punk's real name.
I have one more pre-merge question before we get to this merge episode. Q, dealing with like, why do you think Dee was apprehensive to make alliances in general? And what happened in that round where she almost got voted out?
Yes. So I guess in retrospect, having played the game, this is no shade to Dee. I think she may even agree with me, but I think she was just lost. Because none of us watched Survivor, so like we were wasting our chats just like getting to know each other. And I'm like, guys, like, come on, we got 7 minutes. Let's get this shit going. And so with Dee, I think she was so used to like online isolation where it was like everything's vote based and like there weren't really any alliances, I guess, in online isolation. People kind of had
There was, but they also had 50-minute conversations. They weren't used to that whole 10-minute conversation thing.
exactly.
Did you get to actually talk to her about her time on isolation? Because isolation hadn't aired yet, right?
No, I didn't even know the name of the game, I don't think. I don't even think I knew it was called. I didn't know what it was about, the premise. So yeah, I just knew she played a game and she did well.
Yeah. 2 completely different games. It's crazy.
Yeah, so I think with Dee, I think Aspen said it best. She fucked up because I had like explicitly asked her, I was like, who are you trying to take to the final two? And she's like, well, I think Meg and Jake will go. And I'm like, right, but like, who are you gonna take? And to me, I took that not as her being boss. I didn't really understand what I was doing at. I think I took it as, okay, well, you're working with somebody and it's not me. So, I don't owe you safety. And then literally after that chat with Alex, I was like, I can't vote her out. So that's why I had to backtrack out of that one.
So would general game strategies be considered pre-merge?
Yeah.
All right. So I've heard you mention a few times in your confessionals, Q, that like one of the reasons you didn't vibe with Meg and Jake even pre-merge or extreme, I mean, I guess right into the merge was that you didn't like a certain style of game and you didn't want the game to be played that way. And so that seems like a core value you have coming into this game. And so I'm just kind of curious about that. Like what do you not like about what's going on?
Yeah, I definitely am someone that watches Survivor. I haven't seen all the seasons, but I've seen the core seasons, and I don't watch Big Brother. But I have like a certain game that I like to see unfold, and I always think back. I think I said the first day that like my ideal game was like Cook Islands with Yule and Ozzy, and how you had that final four. Like I just really thought that it was a wholesome type of game, and I just really don't like when you have people who kind of hide in the background and like, oops, got to the end. That's kind of annoying. You probably won't get my jury vote. And I also don't like people who just make these massive Boston Rob alliances and just execute at their will. I don't fucking like that. So I respect Meg and Jake, but I think even if we had started out on the same team, I don't think I would have ever been a part of the Queens. That's honorable.
Going into the merge, this is right after Patty, was not a man of his word. And also, I want to touch upon Elizabeth, who I feel like doesn't get enough credit sometimes, who also has this similar foresight to you at times.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that conversation a bit. Well, first of all, let's talk about Meg and Jake giving up information about Elizabeth. Did that set off a bell right away?
Oh, 100%. That fell right into my lap. I had a shit day. Patty won. I clicked off. Okay, I didn't even congratulate him. I just exited the chat. And then I go into this next chat. I'm already like still fuming. And then they drop this gift into my lap that Elizabeth almost went home. And I was like, okay, well, give me this leverage. What do you mean? How did she almost go home? And they were like, yeah, she came after Meg. And I mean, you edited it so beautifully where you zoomed in and I had that smirk, which I didn't even realize I did.
You did.
You did.
It was perfect. It was so perfect. I was dying. That was my favorite part of the whole episode. It was that smirk.
And I feel like that just was like the whole tone for honestly the next couple episodes. But Elizabeth is really, she was like almost like my twin flame. I don't know. Like we were just, I set up the play by sending Hassan to exile. Like I assisted her and all she had to do was make the fucking shot. And Dot blocked it, I guess. So
She did make the
So
shot,
did-
it just didn't work.
Did you agree with Elizabeth that because Meg was coming after her, she should go after her? Does that make sense? Did I ask that right?
yes, but I think that Elizabeth, she's sneaky though, because even when
She's smart.
very smart, and she is on par with Alex in terms of strategy, but gets none of the props. Like, I feel like she is easily one of the most strategic players in the game, but doesn't get shouted out as much. So Elizabeth, that's your shout out. But
do you feel the same about Patty as far as him going after Carrie because she was coming after him?
do I think in retrospect it was a strategic move? I still don't think that it was a strategic move. I think that it was a valid move and a fair move because she had made him an open target. But strategy wise, no. But we can get to that. You asked me another question, right? Which was about.
Well, it was regarding Patty, so you could touch upon that if you want.
Oh, okay. I thought at first though it was about. Okay. Well, anyways,
They were tied together.
Okay, sorry. So with Patty, I mean, part of my game in telling him, oh, and even with Alex, like that's such a dumb move. Like, first of all, people get upset when you say the word dumb, like they don't want to be called stupid. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna hit your sore point and call you stupid and make you feel like a dumb piece of shit. And so a lot of that really was gameplay of like, I'm gonna make Patty, I'm gonna guilt trip him, and he seems like a very like, I don't know, like he wants to right his wrongs. I was like, I'm gonna really make him feel like he fucking owes me one. So whether or not I agree with the strategy, I had my own strategy of making him feel like shit that wasn't me talking out of emotion. That answer the questions?
Well, regarding that conversation with Patty and Elizabeth, did you take Patty's word or no? That he was going to be this person that he said he was going to be and go after Meg, put his life on the line to go after Meg?
No, because Patty is so, he's just, you can't take him seriously. Like his energy is so silly. Like he just is wild. Okay. So anything Patty says at face value. I mean, he fucked up day one when he said he would be there at the challenge. So I mean, it's like he has a terrible reputation of holding true to his word. No shade, Patty, but in the game.
So you legit had no idea where his vote was going come showtime.
Absolutely not. No, I was like, he's probably gonna vote me because I fucking called him stupid in the last chat. So.
Did you know about him and Dee being close, and did you think Dee might be able to get the truth out of him?
If you go back a couple episodes, that was part of the reason why Dee's ass was almost grass, is because I had sensed that Patty and Dee had something going on, and I told y'all I'd be knowing shit. I just knew that there was between them, and watching it back, I'm like, there was an actual connection between them. But if you've also seen that episode, I asked Dee, I was like, Dee, do you think he's gonna do what he said he did? And so I kind of used Dee as that, in between Patty and I, because I didn't trust him.
Well, what were your thoughts when you saw Patty at Tribal Council? Definitely giving it to Meg and Jake and the cleaners in general, even the strongest bot cracks.
And then he was like, I'm not gonna say any names, but someone of a female persona goes by Meg. She's the rooster, Jake's the head, and I was just like, what the fuck? And he was like, did he say something about JF? I might be JFK in the grassy knoll. I was like, what is he fucking talking about? I just never knew what Patty was even talking about.
I'm going to throw it to the other three if they have any more questions regarding this merge episode.
Yeah, so obviously I want to get to the whole Rayleigh moment. I think that was pretty much as close as we're gonna get to a fight. So yeah, what got you so angry with her? Like what? Why was you going at her like that, man? You about made this poor girl cry. Like it was sad almost.
I went at her?
Yeah.
Does the room think that I went at Rayleigh?
I think the edit had to show not the whole thing, because you talked about her gaslighting and she was only talking for like 5 seconds. She was trying to talk over you and you were like, she's gaslighting. I don't want to deal with this. So I don't know if the whole thing wasn't shown, but it did look like you were going after her.
Maybe I was. I don't know. I guess the thing with Rayleigh was And the cleaners as a whole, they want their fucking cake and they want to eat it too. And I was just trying to tell them that you can't have it both ways. Because, here you have Meg, the spokesperson for the cleaners. And she's like, oh, well, you didn't give us a chance to go make other alliances. And I'm like, okay, fair. But then in the same breath, she's like, oh, well, of course we're close. Like we were day one cleaners. And I'm like, all right, well, which one is it? I'm trying to make cracks and there are no cracks and, and this and that. And then when Rayleigh came over to Team Rona, what I call tea, maybe that was really what was lost in translation. I mean, it wasn't tea, but she really did spill the beans that Team Cleaners was run by Meg and Jake, and that Hassan was quiet. And I'm like, well, bitch, you're giving out strategy. Like that is valuable information. So thank you. And so I was just trying to point that out. And what really set me the fuck off was when she was like, tell me one thing. And I'm like, okay, so let me answer. And then I proceeded to answer. And she's like, no, tell me one thing. And I'm like, well, if you would shut the fuck up and let me say what I'm trying to say, I could answer your question. So what annoyed me about it was how irrational she was being. It's like, do you want the answer or do you just want to be on the fucking camera and be hick and say, tell me one thing? No, bitch, shut up and let me answer. So
she did. You definitely got her heated because I don't even know if she was talking to Patty or if she was still talking to you when he tried to interject.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
pretty much.
that was yeah.
Q, not all of us from the South are dumb hicks, I swear.
Yes, y'all are.
No, we're not.
I'd like to point out, I do believe in science.
good for you. Science.
Doesn't look like science to me.
Yeah, I mean, it is Keanu. I believe in science. I don't think I'm an irrational Southerner. There are a lot of them though.
But something that didn't make the edit, I'm pretty sure I said this to Rayleigh. It may have been in response to something else, but I was like, Rayleigh, I promise it's not on site when I see you. Like, I promise, this is just a conversation.
So with the vote, I was for sure when Meg bounced that y'all were going to get Jake. And it looked like Elizabeth actually did vote for Jake, if I read the votes right at the end. But somehow you and Patty had the mind meld and went for Rayleigh. What was that about? How did that come up? And I mean, was that something you had discussed with Patty, or did y'all both just happen to go that way?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Aspen. Oh, I think.
Now I want to know.
Yeah, I think me and Patty just had this similar irateness, fuck her. Because I even typed Jake's name because I already knew how Elizabeth was gonna go. I was like, Jake, and I was like, nah, fuck her. I'm gonna throw my vote. Fuck her. She's not gonna not get names, get fucking names on her vote. Nah. So I put her name down. I think Patty was pissed too, and that's why she bounced.
So you actually think it was a fallout from that tribal, that she was the one? Wow. Well played, Rayleigh.
That's why Jake was dancing.
That's exactly why Jake was dancing, because he knew the target was slowly getting out of his back, thanks to Rayleigh.
Oh, his face when the first Rayleigh vote got read, let alone the second one, he was dumbfounded.
And also, you know what? She made a comment, that bitch is vapor, and I'm fucking glad that it was her ass. Goodbye. I have no regrets for how that tribal went. When I saw that, I was pissed as hell. Really? Anyways. So
Q, do you feel like you have a lot of options now that you kind of, what at this point is in your mind? Because, you use your advantage. You don't got your girl Carrie Country K. So, where are you at with it right now?
So at that point in the game, I had pretty much accepted my fate on the jury. And I think when you operate from a place of fuck it, I'll die or I'll go home now. I don't care. I felt reckless. I didn't care. So I was just about genuinely trying to survive. And I was going to pull whatever tricks and deceitfulness I needed to pull to make it another night. And if not, okay, then I'll go on the jury. And I'll tell people I'm not going to vote for X, Y, and Z and make them mad. So
were you serious about voting for Meg and Jake, or did you just say that?
At that time in the game, yes, I was serious. I would have voted.
Yeah.
Any last questions regarding this episode?
Yeah, there was just when I was watching this back, there were a couple quotes in your confessionals. I'd like to read one of them. Quote, "I'm not playing to win. I'm playing to see the game that I want to see happen. And I don't want to see a game where Meg and Jake bulldoze their way to the fucking finale." So my question, it's actually a two-part question because I'm trying to break this down. Some people are actually playing to win in the game, and their strategy may actually be to sort of ride the coattails of Meg and Jake to the end or cut them right before the end, because that's something you could put on your manual. I took Jake and Meg out before they got a chance to win. So you kind of said multiple times, especially to Alex, that was horrible. He's playing a horrible game. So their strategy is to actually win. Yours isn't. So how is it what they're doing a bad strategy for them? I'm just confused on how that works.
So I think this goes back to Fan Guy's question, which is my how I morally like the game to be played. And the goal of the game is to get people to play your game. You need to, if you're playing the game correctly, people are going to fall in line with what you want to do, which was what Meg had with the cleaners. They were playing her. Sorry, go ahead.
But what you said is that you're not playing to win. That's your strategy. Everything that you're doing is not to win, but to take out certain folks so they can't win.
Exactly, because again, in my opinion, I don't like to see a game played where you're just handing everything to two people. And I don't, watching it back, you guys like to sit there. I don't think Hassan was going to have it in him to get rid of Meg when the time came. And not that I'm not gonna pretend like I knew that, Hassan ain't gonna do shit, but Hassan ain't gonna do shit. So
I predicted Hassan would go this week, which again, I'm bad at predictions, so don't hold that against me. Yes. But the second part of the question was, if you're not really playing to win, as you said, and your only goal is to get certain people out from winning, why even really sign up to play? Why not just watch the show instead?
I mean, I think at that point in the game, this was like this all the same night, right? Where I blew up shit. It was either shortly after Carrie K got voted out. I don't know. But the point is I was pissed off. And when I say I'm not playing to win, it means that send my ass to the jury. I'll get rich or die trying, right? You can take me out, but I'm going to try and take my shot. And I don't care if I don't win. And also another quote that you forgot is that I'm willing to leverage you send me to the jury, fine, but let me do what I want to get done first and then send me to the jury. And so you can use that as leverage where it's like, all right, you have someone and you need to vote, well, keep me in and we can see what we can get done together. So
You're you and I'm me. I think she's playing to win. I think there's a certain point in the game that comes where your back feels so against the wall where you just feel like you can't win. And so at that point, you're just like, I can't win, so I'm going to take as many of these down with me burning as I can. And so I think, at that moment, I didn't extrapolate it like that. At that moment, I felt like what Q was saying was, I don't think I can win, so let me just burn it all down, but never losing the actual sight to win the game. I don't know if that's not fair to you, Q. But that's what I got.
I will say it's kind of similar to Mike in season 1 where he feels like he has to fucking use his idol to make a move and try and turn something his way to keep Ibarka or keep him in the game. But I think at least Q has more of a but Mike just didn't have alliances. Q, you at least had DD, I guess. Do you think you feel like you have DD?
Yeah, me and DD, we were the sisters stuck together, Aspen. Okay.
Let's go.
I'm sure watching this back, she's like, fuck that bitch. Okay, she almost voted me out. But did I vote you out, D? Did you die? You didn't. But yes, we stuck together, and I felt like D was the person I had.
Nice.
Last questions.
I guess just to touch on kind of what Fanguy was saying, I feel that too. I feel like it's a similar situation to Patty, you know, like he every night come in being like, look, I don't know, I could go home, I don't give a fuck it, you know. So I kind of feel like it's just the same thing. When you down and you're back against the wall, you know, like what else can you do? So you might as well go out swinging. I feel it, I respect it. I love it. I mean, yeah, keep playing hard, man. I hope you make it to the end. Shit. So Q, why did you come at Dot? You know, like you kind of scared him off a little bit. Like it was too much for the kid, you know, like
Because okay, that was actual emotion because he was being fake, right? He was like, Alex, the Wonder Kid, you're my boy. And you know, I think Dot probably like in his real ass life is a really nice guy, but that nice guy persona wore off very quickly for me because I'm like, your actions aren't aligning with how you act on the screen with your eyeball 2 seconds. So that was just annoying me. And it was also strategy where I was like, you know what, Alex, you want to fucking come after me? Look, you don't have shit to show for it because Dot isn't for you. You don't have anything to go back to. So you just burned a bridge with the only person in the game that really was willing to work with you. That's what
I will say it's tough to like come at that nice persona in any type of way that damages them. So you got to use everything you can to kind of paint them in a bad picture.
And you threw him off hard. You could tell he was shook.
He couldn't even answer. He was like, I'm like, damn, Dot, you still on camera? Like, throw the phone down like Carrie or something, bro.
I mean, that was his real first pushback of the game, so I think he was definitely caught off guard.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta wind down here. We'll do the whole one-word answer. What comes to mind first, Q, when I mention their name. If you could, go with these first 6 episodes and not the next episodes or whatever. We will go ahead and start. We might as well start with Dot.
Two-Faced. You're two-faced, Dot.
What about Ori, who you know for a short while?
Can I speak in retrospect of the first 6 episodes? Salty, girl. Damn, I didn't know you were after Team Rona so hard. Shit. But I love Ori, and I felt really bad, and I hope she did well on her test. Good luck to you.
What about Alex?
Oh God, the first thing that popped in my mind was kid. Crafty.
How about Elizabeth?
Strategic and also very crafty. Underrated. That's what I'm going for you, Elizabeth.
How about Hassan?
There.
How about Rayleigh?
Lots of names for her. I'll be kind and go puppet.
How about Jake?
Puppet.
How about Meg?
Puppeteer.
How about Patty?
I feel like Patty is also my turn. Chaos Patty. Chaos Patty and Chaos Patty. Chaos.
How about Dee Dee?
Loyal.
How about Carrie with a C?
Sneaky.
And lastly, Carrie with a K.
Entertaining.
Definitely entertaining. Team Rona was definitely entertaining with Carrie and Patty and you and Dee Dee. There was a whole good dynamics with Team Rona. Well, that's all I have for this interview. We have to do the podcast here in a bit. I want to thank you for coming. I will talk to you later.
Okay, I'm
Thank
expecting.
you so much, Q. You are amazing and fun to watch.
Thank you. And I'm expecting the podcast now to be glorious reviews of me. Once you guys fucking drag me after this interview. Okay?
I
Well,
will.
Gage will. So
I will.